Well, good afternoon, everybody. Let me just get everything into position. How the hell are you? I don't need my light on. That's the thing. Should I put my light on? Hope you can hear me. Oh no, it's a bit bright. No, that's all right. Thought it was going to be a bit much. That a bit much in it. We'll go with it though. Let us know if you can hear me, everyone. And I thought we'd just have a nice little catch up because we did a live last week. We did a live match video. Was it? What did it? Oh no, five feeder fishing tips video this week, which was cool. Seemed to get a nice response. I just thought, well, let's just touch base. While I've literally just finished writing an article for Match Fishing Magazine, which is seemingly what if I get a little bit of downtime, I like to do that. So just fired one off to those guys, and I thought perfect time to go on a live and have a little catch up with you guys as well. So don't forget to like. Let's get it to 50 likes today. We're going to have a bit of time on this one. There's plenty to chat about. Want to get some questions fired in from you guys. Let's get it to 50 likes. And if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. That'd be really, I'd be really thankful for that. So let's get on with it then. Let's get to 50 likes. Come on. Morning, Andy. Nice to see you here. 11 likes. They're coming in fast. So yesterday, in fact, let's catch up with what we were on last week, because when I went live last week, I was heading out. It was like an impromptu one. I didn't have planned or anything. We went out with Mick Viles to Bankend Fishery. Hello, Martin, all the way from Australia. Great to see you. What time is it there in Australia? We were going out, Dave. Is that a delivery? Oh, someone's gonna have to get the door, not me. Afternoon, Jason. Great to see so many of you tuning in. So we were heading out to do the Lee, you can't seem to find any new fish tackle when I pop in the local tackle shops. Obviously online's the big option. 8:15 in Australia. Fair play to you for tuning in. Thank you very much. Obviously online, there's a lot of online stockists now for us. But if your local shops don't stock us, why not ask them to get in touch, and we'll see if we can stock up or get in there. That'd be nice. So anyway, last week we were out to go and film the new fish vlog at Bankend, and I was showing you the mix I was using, how I was going to fish, how Mick was going to fish, and we ended up doing the vlog. That's available now to watch on the New Fish YouTube channel. Give that a subscribe as well. 15 likes, come on, let's get to 50. There's 43 of you watching. 16 likes, come on, let's get the ratio up. And it was a great day. It was one of those days. My dad was with me, and my dad, doesn't get a chance to come fishing with me very much. So it was great to have him. He was down for a few days visiting us. So I took him with us to work. Take your dad to work day it was, and we had a great day. It was one of those lovely feeder fishing sessions where it started off like proper feeder fishing. We was getting an odd perch, and a few more perch came in. Mick was on a bit of a chucking into a different area of the lake, and there was like F1s topping and stuff. He started catching these lovely golden F1s because that lake at Bankend is like really clear, so the F1s are lovely. And it was like I couldn't catch any better fish at all. I had one carp, and then all of a sudden I switched what I was doing. I put a little window feeder on, finally chopped worms, little section of worm on the hook, and it just went nuts. And I caught a load of quality roach up to sort of 10, 12 ounce. I think I had 8 or 9 proper skimmers, like between £1 and £2. And ended up with this like lovely net of fish, which just shows you how with feeder fishing, how it can just progress throughout the session. So yeah, it was really cool. So if you haven't seen that already, that's the New Fish vlog. So check that out on that channel. Like I said, I did that video earlier in the week with the feeder fishing tips. Went down on Saturday morning to my local club water and had a lovely perch, actually, over £3. But hopefully those tips will help you catching a few fish. I'm really enjoying a bit of feeder fishing, actually. I haven't done any for a few years, but I've got to stand in for Lee Kerry in a few weeks' time. So I thought I'd best do a bit of homework and do a bit of prep work for that. So although the venues are different, it's nice just to get into the routine of chucking and using your ground bait and getting your feeders sorted and stuff. And to be fair, both sessions, the little smooth hound's been good, and then a little window's been really good. The little Preston ones, the solid one rather than the cage. Finally minced up worms in there with a smear of ground bait on it. It's worked a treat. So yeah, so that was really good. And then yesterday I went on a match at Makins Fishery. I'm just look, I haven't got the heart to have in my new cup today. almost thinking about putting it in the bin, to be honest, because the last few performances, well, all season we've been shocking, but it was the last 2 games, yeah, really poor. So if you've got any questions that aren't Man United related, I will gladly answer them. I'll do my best to answer them anyway. And get liking. 22 likes. Come on, let's get to 50. That'd be wicked. Helps us with the algorithm, gets these videos viewed by more people, gets more of you involved. Ian Taylor's just joined us. Good afternoon, Ian. Right, on to the match yesterday. Now, let me just get, I'm hoping you can see this, but I thought what we'll talk about is how you would approach this peg. So I drew this peg. Hopefully you can see that on my screen. I'm just going to brighten it up on my phone so you can see it. So I went to Makins yesterday on Lake 4. Now, when I started redoing my live matches earlier in the year, Lake 4 at Makins was where I started. You may remember fishing in the snow, catching a few fish on a long pole, pellets. And this is the peg I drew yesterday, peg 23. Hopefully you can see that. You see that, everyone? So as you can see, it's the island was actually, on my perspective, off to my left. And then I've got a bit of open water. The peg, what you can't see in that picture, is sort of sat back in a little bit of a bay. So my peg's like sat back in this shallow bay, and it's only 4 or 5 foot, something like that. When the other bank in the more favoured areas is probably 10 foot, maybe even deeper than that in places. So it was one of those draws where, although that area's actually been okay recently, but now it's started to get colder, I feared the worst, I've got to be honest. And I went with I've actually filmed it as a live match, so I'll do more of a detailed recap on that when I launch that video probably next week. But I thought it was we could have this interesting chat. Now, Lake 4 is, like I say, one bank is dominant in the winter and then the other bank struggles a bit. But if you get a few things right, it's one of those lakes where you don't need loads of fish to do well. I had 8 carp yesterday for 3rd place. So, and 8 carp is probably possible from a lot of areas, providing you get your decisions right. So it's one of those lakes that, yeah, you might have a runaway winner, which was the legend Andy Finlay yesterday, who caught 5 meters on the method feeder with a wind hacking into his face. Almost at 30 likes, everyone. He caught at 5 meters all day on the method feeder. Not all day. After 2 hours, he sort of went on that and then caught for the rest of the match. 120 odd pound. Great. And Gazwood was second with 55 pound, and then I was third with 53 pound. So, but it was one of those days where I sort of sat there on my peg, and I've got this peg that's really shallow compared to the rest of the lake. It gets shallower to my left, I believe, up into like the narrows. But I'm sat back, and it just looked crap, if I'm honest. The wind was off my back, so there was no wind cover. It's just one of those days where you think, I need to have my wits about me to do any good here. So what I decided to do, my whole plan going there, basically last week they had a Silverfish Festival, and my good mate Sam Collett was there, and everywhere he put any ground bait, he hooked carp for fun on a Silverfish match. So I thought, well, why don't I just try that? So I decided to, at about 10 meters, put some ground bait in, with the hope of catching some skimmers and maybe hooking an odd carp on it. I then decided to fish a long pole because I've had success on the long pole on that lake before, but it was normally, like I say, it's 10 foot, but it was just 5 foot on this peg. And I just didn't fancy it. I fed it. Good afternoon, Kevin. Great to see you. 34 likes, keep them coming. And it was just one of those days where I thought, that might not be the one, the old long pole. So I then fancied Bomb. There's a rope down the middle of the lake. I fancied Bomb sort of 3/4 of the way across to the rope, loose feeding 8mm pellets. And then I had sort of a banjo feeder set up, just a medium banjo, one of the Preston ones. I really like those. A medium banjo set up that I could search the peg a little bit with. So they're big. It's a big lake. This, like, with a 10-foot rod, it's a proper chuck to get it to the rope. And I thought that'd be a great thing to start on. Just chuck the hybrid out, leave it on the bottom, and just wait and sort of see what would happen. Ping on the long pole. Good afternoon, Michael. Great to see you. 35 likes. Keep them coming. So I decided to pot in like 50 6mm pellets on the long pole. I potted in some ground bait on that sort of 10-meter line. The left-hand margin looked like it had a potential for maybe 1 or 2 late on. It didn't look great. It was quite clear, the lake. and with no wind cover. But I thought if I just fished long up there, then I had that option. So I plumbed the rig up for that as well. Let me just show you the peg again so you can stay in the loop. And then obviously feeding sort of, so that was the peg, look. So sort of feeding 3/4 of the way across with pellets up to the rope. The rope's sort of off the point of the island. You can't see very well, but the point of the island. And then add this sort of the feeder as a bit of a rover. So I kicked off on the feeder up to the rope, probably 5 meters off the rope, because then it'd give me a bit of room to search in if I needed it. Morning, Stephen. Morning, Paul. No, afternoon, isn't it now? Afternoon, sorry. Chucked it out, and I sat there on my first cast for 20 minutes. All I had was fishery 2 mils in the feeder and a red hook pellet. And nothing happened, not even a little liner or anything. I could hear the lads on the other bank were getting little liners and rattles. Now, there's a lot of F1s in this lake now, as well as the big carp. So sometimes a lot of those indications are the F1s, and they are definitely in that deeper water on the other bank. But I could hear them chatting and saying, morning, Colin, afternoon, Colin, even. 2 Collins in a row. And I wasn't getting any indication. So I thought, right, let's move slightly to one side. So I chucked a little bit to my right for my next chuck, sat on that for 20 minutes, nothing at all. And I just, when you just get a feeling, I'd not seen any fish roll, the other side of the rope in the wind. Oh, my mic keeps catching, does it? Let me just, is that better? Hopefully that's better. I'll probably take that off in a minute. Actually, it's getting quite warm. It's really cold in my office. And I can see fish rolling in the wind on the other side. So I'm thinking, yeah, need to. Morning, Mickey. Afternoon, Mickey. I keep saying morning, don't I? I've got morning on my brain. 37 likes. We're climbing. Like I say, let's get to 50 likes. That'd be really cool. So 2 chucks in, nothing. Not even a sign. I can see all these fish on the other side of the rope boshing and rolling and stuff. But they're not catching neither. So I'm thinking, well, maybe the carp are just not feeding. And it can be a slow start in my experience on that lake. So let me just take this off because I'm worried about catching the mic. Oh. So I decided, to my left was the island. There was no anglers to my left. So I decided to have one chuck up against the island just to see if there was any fish up there. Because sometimes the island holds a few fish. I didn't expect it to be like where you go and catch 20 carp, but I thought I might just catch a couple until my pole lines kick in. So I went on that, chucked to that, and it went round straight away. I caught one straight away, immediately. In fact, like a 2 minute chuck. Chucked in again. I caught a big hybrid, great, big, lovely big hybrid. Then I caught a bream the next chuck. Thought, well, here we go. We're off and running. And by this point, I've not seen anyone else even hook a carp. And that was kind of the pattern, really. My pole lines never got going at all. In fact, I never had a bite on a long pole. I had one little wobble, but I think it might have been a roach. Nothing materialized. Over my ground bait, I caught a few little perch and stuff, but nothing really. But it just looked so calm and just dead. And all my action, afternoon, John, all my action was over to that island, and I ended up with 8 carp, 2 bream and a hybrid, and those few perch and stuff for £53, which was enough for third. And I actually felt like it was probably, I could have been second because £55 was second, but I wasn't unhappy with third, having drawn that peg in the morning. Based on the conditions on the day, I say the wind off my back, the fish were clearly in the deep water on the other side. And like I say, Finn has underhand the method and caught these great big carp up to sort of £15. So I wasn't unhappy with it. And it just led me to think about the things that I would have probably done different on that peg. Now, I put a lot of my faith in fishing bomb and pellet 3/4 of the way across. Now, I was probably the only one on the lake to really commit to this and feed a lot of bait. And that led to quite a few problems with seagulls. Now, there's a picture on my phone that I probably won't be able to see them on this, but there was 35 at one point, and then more came in after. I didn't get a picture of it. There was 35 in this picture because I counted them last night because it annoyed me so much. Every pellet I was firing in was getting nailed by a seagull. Now, I know that sounds like an excuse, but I couldn't tell. What I wanted to do was ping 2 and 3 pellets in all day. If I fed any less than 10, I wasn't even with firing like a pouch full of pellets in, I wasn't convinced a single one got on the bottom. honestly, it was unbelievable. When I've got my footage sorted, you'll be able to see it. I was just firing pellets in, and they're just, it was disgusting. And they're even like on my pole line. I'd ping on a few pellets on the pole line, they'd come on that. I pinged some up the left-hand margin, they'd come on that. It was just a nightmare. I was like the blooming bird whisperer. So that was really frustrating. And when I did actually go on the bomb after 3 hours, I thought I'd feed it for 3 hours and then drop on it, hope for a big finish on that. The tip never moved. And I'm not convinced I even had the opportunity to feed it properly. I just think them birds just totally scuppered everything I was trying to do, which is a big shame, because that really was my hope of a big finish. I knew that island would keep giving me an odd fish, but I never felt like it was building to anything. Whereas I felt like a bomb line, if I was the only one out there feeding it, would get better and better. And then birds just really, really scuppered it. And then Daz on the opposite bank started feeding a bomb. Or he might have been feeding it halfway through, sort of thing. And he had exactly the same thing. To a lesser degree, in fact, but oh my god, it was so frustrating watching them birds diving on with blooming pellets. So that was the only downside of the day. Like I say, the method feeder, well, banjo feeder, bailed me out really, chucking it up against that island, got me some fish. So nice day. I'm going to go again next week. I think it's on Lake 2 next week. So I've not fished that lake for a couple of years now, but I think it could be quite good. So if you've got any questions, get them in. That's just a little roundup of my match. While everyone's here, let's get liking and subscribing, because we've got lots of new guys joining as we speak. 42 likes. Let's get us to 50, and then let's see if we can get up to, I don't know, dizzy heights of maybe 70, maybe even 80. Who knows? What have I been up to? Right. Yesterday, we launched the brand new Taurus pole rollers. For anyone who, that's new fish, by the way, we launched a brand new Taurus pole rollers, which are a significant upgrade on the previous model. Now, amazingly, and I think this is the real headline that people are missing, obviously everything in life is going up, isn't it? The price of everything. It's just the food, petrol, diesel, building materials, you name it, everything is going up. And we've managed to improve the Taurus rollers considerably and keep the price exactly the same as the previous model. So $59.99 for the small one, $84.99 for the big one. That's such a good product for that money. And there's some amazing rollers out there now, some real high-end ones at up to 200 quid, which is great if you've got a great big fat bank account. But if you're like me and you haven't, then we have got to look at other options. And the improvements we've made to the Tauruses and the fact that they've remained the price, I just think that they're a no-brainer, to be honest. They're a great product. So $59.99, $84.99 for the two models. We've essentially, just to put you in the loop with what we've done to it, you couldn't use the previous model on the floor. You could, but it would rock about a bit. So we've made a new frame where it's quite a wide footprint and it's got spikes on it, so you can put it straight on the ground. The legs are splayed slightly so that when you pack it away, there's no fiddling knobs or buttons or anything that you've got to press. Just clunk the legs out and it's in position, ready to use. It's only got one setting, so you can use it on the low setting, like the flat setting, straight out of the bag, and put your legs out, you're good to go. The big one has triple extending legs to get you over 1.3 meters in height. The little one has up to 80 centimeters. So loads of versatility. They've got stainless steel bearings in them so that they can't rust, or that certainly the rusting is drastically reduced. Just a really good product. They roll super smooth. I know that's a silly thing to say, but they do. They've got that Taurus end rollers to keep your pole nice and safe. We've got a bucket hook on there, so you can put, like I often do, I fish it at that Barbie Banks for 46 likes, we're nearly at 50. At that Barbie Banks where I go, I have it jacked right up to get over the high bank behind me. I put a bucket of water on it and it just becomes such a stable roller setup. I just think, yeah, a great product. They're in shops now. I've seen shops posting about it. And if they're not in your local stockies today, they'll certainly be in tomorrow. So a great product that, and I think that the fact that we've managed to keep the price the same is a big thing, especially with us. You know, let's be honest, everyone, we're all struggling a bit, aren't we, with the old funds? My tumble dryer actually went bang last night. Started tripping all the electrics at home, so that's more expense. Although I'm going to try and get someone to come and look at it. Speaking of expense, look at this. Let me just get this. Now, one downside to my sea fishing exploits is that I'm sort of learning on the job. And one thing I didn't appreciate was how savage saltwater is on fishing tackle. Now, I bought a beautiful Daiwa BG reel, and then in my haste, enjoyment, giddiness last week, the other week when I went bass fishing, plunged it in the water a few times, and I never thought any more about it. I thought mag seal reel, it'd be great, but I probably didn't respect how savage saltwater is, so I've had to take her apart, dry it out, get some stuff in there to free it up, and look at that, it's good to go again now. So I definitely need to be more mindful of that next time I go sea fishing, because even a top class reel like this can suffer the effects of the salt water. It's amazing, isn't it, what a reel is like inside? Look at that, the gearings and stuff. So yeah, so I've just been prattling about cleaning that up. 48 likes, come on, let's get to 50. 49 likes, come on, and then let's see if we can get up to 70. That'd be amazing. So let's answer a few of your questions. Oh, a couple of things that I did actually think about from, and it's someone just asked about, have you started changing your shotting and floats yet? 50 likes, thank you everyone. 50 likes, that's great. New PB while we're live, but let's get to 70. Should we get to 70? 67 of you watching. I think we can get to 70, can't we? Someone's asked about changing floats. Now, it's not necessarily I'm changing floats, because I use Cypris an awful lot, and I'll continue to use Cypris an awful lot throughout the winter. I think that 1.7 mil tip's a nice tip for maggot pellet fishing at this time of year. It's a nice tip. You can use it in deeper water for carp. You can use it for F1s in the smaller sizes. You can use it for silvers if you dot it down. So it's a good all-round pattern. However, like on that lake yesterday, lake 4, where I'm looking at, granted my peg wasn't 10 foot deep, but on the other bank it is. You often get a lot of wind because it's the highest lake on the venue. You get a lot of wind, it's quite open. You need a float that's super stable. And I've been using these bulks. As you can see, that's the nice bulk pattern. It's a nice, I'm going to say like a traditional sort of shape, but with a proper hollow bristle on it so you can see it. Just a great float, and they go all the way up to 1 gram. So great pattern that. It's got a night eye wire stem, lovely hollow bristle, that inline body, and that Jura eye. Just a great pattern. And I used it in a 0.5 gram yesterday on my long pole, and despite the strong wind off my back and there's quite a strong tow, I could just sit there with quite a long line between my pole float and my pole tip. Because it's windy, I'm fishing at 16 meters. I like to have a nice long line just to mean I can just leave me float. I hate it when you're fishing in windy conditions, when you're trying to leg on the bottom a little bit and you've got a tiny little line like we all so often use now, and your float's just doing this business. It's no good at all. So a nice long line, so I could just put a heavy float on and just sit there, and it worked. It sat there lovely, and I just know that if I'd been on the other bank, then having that option and using that up to 1 gram would have been really nice. So the bulks are an absolute winner. Absolute winner for this time of year. And then the Cypris as well. Those two floats, you can't really go wrong. If you're using bulks for your bigger waters, your haul crofts, your hay fields, your like Makins, like phase 1 lakes at Makins, and then for your smaller, more intimate venues, Cypris floats, absolutely perfect. So 55 likes. We're racing up to the 70 like mark. Get your questions in, everyone. We're up to 23 minutes. I've got another probably 10 minutes to go, I reckon, before I best crack on with some more work. With the weather change, have you changed your shotting and float? So again, on that, I have changed my shotting. Yesterday, when I'm fishing hard pellets this time of year, I love having, especially at Makins where it's deep, the water's clear, I love having a long hook length with no shot on it. So I actually use a 12-inch hook length. And then I've got my shot staggered up above it. My whole thinking is that when you just ping in 2, 3, 4 pellets regularly throughout the day, they're fluttering through the water, it's clear, they can see everything. I'm convinced of it. And I've had it so many times on that lake where you flick your rig out and it takes ages to get down, and then as soon as it settles up, it'll dink under. And I just think giving myself everything so I can still fish with stability, but slow the fall and hook bait down so that the fish spot it coming down. I think it gets you more bites. And it didn't work yesterday, granted, but I know next week, for example, if I'm on a peg where there's some fish to be caught on a pole, that'll work nicely. And using floats like this in a 0.5 gram or whatever, you can have your bulk quite high. So I had my bulk 1 meter away from the hook yesterday. So I still get the stability of the bulk, but then I've got my strung out shot below it, presenting my bait well. So it gives you the best of both worlds. And it's something we used to do when I used to fish the Northern Canals a lot, because you always want, you were fishing in 10 foot of water, 8 foot of water, you wanted to present a squat really slowly on the drop to get your bites to mimic your loose feed. But sometimes you get a windy day on those northern canals, and you couldn't do it. So what we used to do was use like a 1/2 gram float, say, with your bulk 1.5 meters, 1.5 meters away from your hook, and then have your strung out shot in below it. So you get the stability of the bulk at half depth, say, and then the strung out below it, and it used to work really well. So just something to be mindful of. And then with my Cypries, say I was fishing at Shearsby or wherever, and you're fishing in 4 or 5 foot of water, strung out shot all the way for me at this time of year. Unless it's really positive fishing, because there's still days where you're catching loads of roach and smaller fish and you need to get down quick, so bulk and droppers can work really well. 56 lights, let's get to 70. Colin, what? Oh, there's a couple of other ones coming yet. Could you show me how you change hook length? I can, if I can find some line, I'll whip up a couple of bits. So I've got a bit of Aki power here. It's loop to loop is the best way for pole fishing. It's just whether we can see it in this light. That's the only thing. But we'll give it a go. So I'll just quickly. That can be my pretend rig, if you like, and then that could be my pretend hook length. Actually, don't bite your line with your teeth, everyone. Your dentist will shout at me. Let's get this spun up. Always use a loop tie out of interest. I like loop tires. So if you've got a pole rig and you've got a loop there terminating your rig, so you'd have your shot above that down to your float, and then you've just bought some hook lengths out of the shop. So this is how you do it, and it's important you do it this way rather than the other way. So you get your hook length. This is the rig loop, and then this is the hook length loop. So pass your rig loop through the loop. So that's gone through. You see that? That's gone through. Then imagine there's a hook on this end. You would then pass that through the loop on the rig. So you've got it going, and then pull it through. So you've got them intertwined, and pull it down, and then you've got the perfect loop to loop. So that's how you do it. It's important to put the rig loop through the hook length loop though, and then pass the hook through it. Otherwise it creates like a strangulation knot, which can be quite weak. So just something to be mindful of. Yeah, loop to loop, pole rigs, that's what you need. Nice and simple. And obviously most of the hook lengths you buy in the shops now, come on, I haven't got any to hand, but Guru, Preston, all sell them with loops on the end. So you just whip them on, loop to loop, dead easy. 59 likes, almost at that 60 mark. We're getting new PBs all over. I've never had 60 likes before, so thank you very much. Hi Joe, I love these live chats. How would you approach a lake you have never seen before? Oof. Depends what you're fishing for, really. We did that video on new fish where I went to Cobhouse for the first time, but it was warm summer fishing. So it was a lot of hard pellet fishing, would have fished paste if it hadn't been so windy and deep. Do a bit of intel. I think you can't go wrong with a bit of intel. Everyone's on Facebook now doing vlogs and blogs and all sorts, YouTube. I can only talk about how I've gone about my bass fishing and my chub fishing and stuff. And what I like to do when I'm approaching something that's totally new to me, I like to research, and I'll watch every video I can get my hands on YouTube. So if I was going to a new venue, for example, I'd quickly go on YouTube, see if there's any videos on there, even if it's only to see what the widths are, the depths are, the species are. That gives me a head start. I know that, oh, it's carp or it's F1s or it's bream. So that gives me a head start. And there's videos on most venues now, certainly the more established commercials. And then I'll just think about my approach. Like, pellets work everywhere. So pellets would always be my first bait, just to gauge a response for my first session. I'd probably take some maggots because maggots work everywhere. I think that gives you a nice contrast, maggots or pellets. And then fine tune it from there. Start off just feeding micros and expanders, see what you catch. If you're catching F1s and carp, great, keep going. If you're getting mired with little fish, then you might have to look at 6mm pellets or even 8mm pellets. But that will give you, pellets are so instant that will give you a good indication of what's in the lake and in the swim. If that's not working, try maggots. Maggots will get you bites off everything, but more importantly, your F1s and your carp love them as well. So often you'll start catching silvers, perch, skimmers, and then it'll get better and better and you'll catch F1s. So yeah, I just keep it simple, take maggots and pellets with you, micros and expanders to start with to get a response. Maybe switch to hard pellets and then try maggots somewhere in your peg as well. Throwing maggots short, it can be a great approach for silvers and F1s and carp. So yeah, that would be what I'd do if I was at this time of year going somewhere. What shallow rigs do you use for silvers in the winter, and do you ever overshot, or do you think slow fall is better? It depends what you're fishing for, Dave, really. What shallow rigs they use, I'd probably just use one of those little tinks, a 4x10 Cypri for fishing like 3 foot deep, or a little tiny tinks. I've got to be honest, I haven't done a lot of silver shallow fishing for a few years. But I know that the guys are all using overshotted rigs now, little dibbers, overshotted, and that works particularly well for hide. So if you're fishing for hide, that overshotted, they're buggers to catch shallow. You get a lot of tiny little bites and little indications. Yeah. So set up both, set up some nice strung out rigs and set up some little dibbers with overshotted and just work out on the day what you're fishing for. If you're fishing for hide, if you're fishing for roach. Yeah, I like I say, I've not done loads of that. Probably need to go do a bit actually, because I've got a perfect lake for it at sunset at Shearsby Valley. Right. The thing is, Dave, the slow fall rig will get you a bite most chucks in, but it's whether you can hit them and convert them to fishing a net. Looks great, doesn't it, when your float's always going under, but you're not actually hitting anything. Chris is asking where the mug is. The mug's banished to the blooming cupboard for now. The Man United mug is not viable at the moment, I'm afraid. Right, we've got some good questions. 64 likes. Can we get to 70 before I finish? I'm going to give it to 9 more minutes. Right, let's go on. What ground bait do you use on long pole line, 10 foot deep, to get bait on the deck for skimmers? Right. Depends if you're on commercial or if you're on natural venues. If I was on a commercial, I'd still use my Thatchers and F1 dark mix that I've talked about with my bait booster in it. I'd still use that, but I'd probably put a bit of leam or a bit of soil in it. Not a lot, just 20% maybe, just to give the bait some weight. That ground bait will get to the bottom, but obviously you don't know where it is. Whereas just adding a bit of leam or a bit of soil, just get the mole ill. Not at the moment because it'll be clogged up and wet because everything's soaked at the minute. Just even though you're on a commercial, adding a bit of soil can just help you get your ground bait exactly where you want it. So that can be a good tip. If I was on natural venues, I would look to use that new sonubaits deep water. That's a great ground bait, nice and sticky, nice and salty, exactly what you need. So they're the 2 ways I'd go, but I'd still probably add a bit of soil to that as well. You can't really go wrong with a bit of soil. Just make sure you find some nice fine molehill, or like terre de riviere, that can work, or even a bit of leam. Leam works fine, but just be careful with leam that you prepare your ground bait properly, because if it's too dry, it will cloud a lot, which potentially could bring nuisance fish in your swim. So you want to have it quite wet, the ground bait, to make sure that only a bit of cloud comes off it, not loads. So yeah, that's what I do. 67 likes. God, this is flying. We might even get to 80 before we let's get to 70 first, but we might even get to 80 before we're done. Andrew wants to know, I've been looking for a bigger side tray, looked at the Newfish 6040s. It's a good price. Just worried if it's stable enough without any legs. Well, that is the side tray I use. And I've had big bowls of paste on it, big bowls of ground bait on it. But I have obviously water and stuff in the summer, and I can't fault it. I don't use a support leg. I don't use support arm or anything like that. That bracket, that Newfish bracket, is fantastic. And that's not me speaking with a Newfish hat on. That is fact. That leg bracket is amazing. You don't need support legs on it. And even like the lads who use the Aqualock, which is a heavy beast because obviously it's all fabric, put ground bait in it and everything, and it just sits there. Obviously the Aqualock's supplied with a support leg, but you don't need it. That Newfish leg block is amazing. So yeah, don't be worried about that. It's more than stable enough. Where's the Man United Cup? Yeah, let's just not talk about it. What's your favourite expander? I still use sonubaits Pro expanders. Is there anything better? The Pro expanders are just easy, aren't they? You stick them in water. and it goes, they're perfect. I've got to be honest, I don't do a lot of expander fishing now, but if I do, I just use them 4 mils. Pro expanders, you can't really beat them, they're just easy. But I must admit, I'm more often than not putting a 6 mil in a band these days, or an 8 mil in a band. What brand of shot and stots do you use on your pole rigs? Well, you've answered my question now. I just use stots for my heavy duty carp fishing. I know there's been a bit of a funny batch recently. Colin says I need a Newcastle mug. Andrew, great to see you. Yeah, I use stots, and I must admit the batch I've got has been fine. But they're all pretty similar, aren't they? So just pick one and stick with it. The tackle shop's a good person to ask because they'll know which are good batches. And then I use Balabenny for my shots. And then I just use like some little shot pliers. I even use long nose pliers, but I've got them in my perch box at the minute for taking off pike. 68 likes. Come on, let's get 2 more likes before we go. I was getting giddy, wasn't I, with the old 80 likes? Yeah, so Balabennies and then stots. Yeah, no problem. And to be honest, as good as Balabennies are, I just like them because they're in big tubs. So when I'm making my rigs at my desk and stuff, I can just have it open, and I find it easy to access. So, but I'm not a shot tart or anything like that. 69 likes. Come on, we can do it. Do you tie bait banded hook lengths specifically for winter, e.g. very light 16, 18 hook patterns to 11, no 10? Julian, it's a great question. I've just lost a like. I got to 69 and then one's gone off. Probably a Newcastle fan. Well, they should be liking more than disliking the amount of drubbings they've been giving us. I'll let you into a secret. I fish light lines. 70 lights. Come on, let's get to 80. Come on. I fish light a lot. 011 reflow power is my sort of go-to hook length even in the summer, which might sound light for a lot of people. I know it's not 011, it's more like 013, but it's still a light line to be used in summer, and I use that a lot, and I really like it. Got so much confidence in that hook length. 011. I've lost a like again. Got to be a rival fan on it. Lost my train of thought. Yeah, so I use 011 a lot, and I use 010 a lot as well. It's back. 70. Good work, everyone. Good work. So yeah, I use 010, 011 reflow power a lot. 013 is like a bagging hook length for me. 013 reflow. And 015, it's like, oh my god, I'm putting the 015 on. Let's get ready. So I often fish, and yeah, certainly I'll use 010, even 010 AccuPower, 012 AccuPower, which is much thinner, obviously, than reflow power. I'll use them quite happily. Obviously, match your elastics to suit in this time of year. If you're fishing for F1s, you want something like the yellow zip 6 to 8 for a short kit's nice, for a long kit's fine, or like the orange version is good as well if you prefer longer kits. So yeah, it's just balance your tackle and you'll have no problem. Especially with reflow power, it's so strong. You've got a good degree of stretch. Andrew White's messing with the lights. Oh, it's gone again. It's the rival fans, isn't it? Oh dear. Anyway, yeah, so just use light lines with confidence, light hooks with confidence. Just make sure you balance it out with your elastic. Use softer elastics with a puller. This time of year, it's not often at race, is it? Like yesterday, I've caught cheers, Andrew. Love you too. I catch 8 carp to get 3rd place. And that's not a race at all, is it? In 5 hours, 8 carp. So you can afford to take your time. Use white zip, even though you'd normally use black or green, because you can take your time, get them in. There's a couple more questions come in. I've got 2 more minutes, then I'm gonna go and eat a sandwich and cry some Man United tears into the thing. Have you ever used a wafter sinker type bait on the pole? It's from Chris Harris. No, I don't even like to use them on a feeder. I don't know if anyone knows, but I've got a real love-hate relationship with wafters and stuff. I don't doubt their effectiveness. I put one on and I feel like I've got a pretend bait on. And that's just me, my confidence thing. I'd rather have pellet on or maggots or meat or something like that. That being said, I have had quite a lot of success doing what I did in a video where I put an 8mm pellet on and then another band with a bright wafter on top as like a sight bob. I've caught quite a lot of fish with that. Lindome and bigger. 71 likes. Can we get up to 80? It's not going to happen, is it, in 2 minutes? Yeah. Wafters and sinkers just out for me at the moment, but maybe I need to embrace it. And certainly at makings and stuff like that, where I'm fishing for these bigger carp, perhaps it is something I'm missing out on as a hook bait. Do you use a lasso for F1s? That's from Colin Whitaker. Yes, I love a lasso, but as I'm getting older and lazier, I often don't bother. I just put a band on now. But yeah, I love a lasso. Oh, 74 likes. Jeez, we're shooting up. I love a lasso. I really do. But it's just whether I can be bothered to tie them is the truth. I tell you when I do insist on them, though, is when I'm fishing shallow for F1s at places like Shearsby, where it is a bit of a race and you don't want to be changing. You want to catch multiple fish on the same pellet. I think it's essential. So I'll use like a 16 B911, 013 or 11 power line and then a lasso, and it's just a winner because you can catch 10, 12 fish on it. And then before you have to change your pellet because your pellet's got a bit wet. So yeah, something to definitely do. I'll do a video actually showing you how to tie it. I think I did it a few years ago, but it wasn't the clearest video. It wasn't the best work. I'm going to get some real fat line and do it on a dark background, and hopefully that'll show you how to do it. Dead easy, really easy to tie. Yeah. Skirt 360 Fishing has joined us. Managed to catch me live. That's good. Right, have we got any more? Is new fish floats made of IGF 110 foam? I believe so. Mick knows all the technical details. I just point the camera at him. Fancy doing a live at the same time as Lee Carey's. Lee live, is he? What is he on? Is he on Preston, is he? Yeah, well, good luck to him. Brilliant. The more live stuff with the better. No, I've got a bit of brew left. So, sonubaits. Right, just to recap then on what we talked about. So, third yesterday, it was a good match. If you haven't heard my report, it was in this. I will do the live match, so with all the footage. So that was cool. Good live match. Let me know for future topics for lives, because I quite like this one when I've got more viewers. Brilliant. Well, you all got taste, don't you? You want to see me in my miserable little office, don't you? Rather than Lee on probably some nice fishery. Have you got the dimensions of the slim tray? I have, actually. I've got my catalogue just here. So while I'm waffling, I'll just try and find it. We talked about the new Taurus rollers that have just been launched today, /yesterday, /tomorrow. So all shops will be getting them in the next, if they haven't got them already, they'll be getting them tomorrow. Check them out. Inflation beating pole rollers they are. $59.99, $84.99. Tremendous improvements over the last models. And we've kept the price the same as the last model. So dimensions of, I'm gonna have to get back to you because the dimensions aren't on here. Maybe they're on the website. Let me just check while I'm here, because I can do that. So I don't like leaving a question unanswered if I can help it. While we're at it, while I'm just faffing around trying to find this, any requests for videos, for future videos? Because as long as the weather holds, I'm going to try and get out tomorrow and do some stuff, primarily for the New Fish channel though. But if I do get time, I will do something for this channel as well, even if it's only a small internal dimensions for the Aqualock Slim is 710 long, 205 wide, and 110 deep. It will fit legs up to 700 mil between the centers. So there you go. That just gives you a bit of tech spec. Going to the bank tomorrow, looking to get a lump of a carp. Any recommendation on getting bigger fish on a feeder? I don't know if you found any tips, then let me know, because I needed to catch some bigger fish yesterday. I think this time of year, I do think flavors and stuff work at this time of year when the water's clear and their senses are starting to diminish. I think flavors are a good thing. But if you want to catch bigger fish, you've got to try bigger baits. Maybe put 4 mils around the feeder instead of micros. Maybe fish 10 mil wafters or 10 mil bits of meat, something like that. So just maybe up it a little bit. 3 bits of bread on the hair can be really good as well, even on the method or the hybrid feeder. Yeah. Where would I get up to? So yeah, so Taurus rollers in shops now, /tomorrow, /yesterday, in shops. So check them out. New Fish vlog is on there now. Loads of you have seen that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I think I'm going to go. So see you, everyone. Thanks, everyone who's yeah, get on the 10mm wafters, give them a try. Yeah, thanks everyone who's watched, and it's great to see you all. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you again soon.